and I just began my reselling journey 3 months ago, actually this week. So I thought I would get on here on YouTube finally. I've been wanting to do this and wanted to document my journey for a while now, but it's pretty hard to pull the trigger. I've actually recorded probably 4 or 5 videos and just scrapped all of them. So yeah, I decided, since this is my 3rd month reselling, that I need to do it now or never. So I'm here today to share with you kind of a recap of what I've learned over the last 3 months and some of the most, I guess, surprising sales or some of my favorite sales. So I've got about 10 of those I'd like to share. If you like reselling content, if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. Subscribe, of course. I'd love to continue making videos and showing my experience with this reselling and start getting more in depth with the community. So far, it's been great. I've turned to YouTube University for probably 4 or 5 months now, and the amount of information that's available here is incredible. The people who share this information are just priceless to me at this point. They've been a lot of help in my journey. So even though I may not be an expert in many areas, I still wanted to come here and show my journey, because I'm sure somebody will learn something from what I've experienced, even a veteran reseller. I was watching Chris on Daily Refinement, and he said, in so many words, he'd be a fool not to listen to somebody even new, because there's always opportunity to learn something. So that kind of struck the chord with me, and I figured, I think in a couple years from now, I would regret not doing this, and I'm sure those who have been doing this have felt the same way. So comment below, say hi. I'd love to comment back. But without further ado, I'd like to go over a couple of my sales. So again, this week, I think it's the 27th, will mark my 3rd month reselling. I would be considered full-time, as currently I'm not working anything else. However, some days it's part-time and hours, and then some days it feels like all I do is work. So it's been a little distracting now that my son's out of school. I do have an 11-year-old. I thought it would be easier since I'm not really working around his school schedule, but I love this summer. We're both fish, and so we like to be at the beach, and it's been kind of hard to balance my time. So that in itself has been a learning curve. And now we're halfway through summer vacation. He has just over a month left. I really had to start buckling down and committing time to this. And honestly, I've seen success in that. So anyways, my first sale I'd like to share with you is, this was probably one of my favorite items I picked up. It was an Anthropologie 11sies bomber jacket. It was beautiful. I was at Salvation Army, and it was on one of those new racks, which if you've watched YouTube videos or if you're on Instagram, you know that usually the best spots to source from are those new racks that nobody's touched yet. So I saw a couple of those. I was looking through, and this just caught my attention from, I think it was a couple racks over, to be honest. And it was this just beautiful color. I noticed it was a bomber. I grabbed it. I don't even think I looked at the brand. I just knew that with the embroidery, I was gonna love it no matter what. So I was sitting in line. There was a pretty heavy line that night, and I looked at it and I noticed it was 11sies, so it was Anthropologie, and then it was new attacks. So that was an even bigger bonus. I think I picked this jacket up for like $8, and it ended up selling for $75. Pretty exciting. I think that was one of my first big flips. So that really got the adrenaline, pumping, and I was like, okay, this is something that I can actually, do. So yeah, that was really exciting. The jacket's beautiful. So yeah. So the second one I wanted to share with you was these, I think they're called, so it's Tuck, Viva, and they're the platform creepers. This was purchased from a church rummage sale. So I think I went there the last day and it was a fill a bag. So it was one of those like standard grocery bags, brown paper grocery bags. I believe it was $6 to fill a bag. And I think I filled the bag and then I grabbed more. I had so many things in my hands because it'd been the first church rummage sale I ever went to, and I was just really excited. So I got a bunch of stuff. I ended up narrowing it down, of course, but one thing that stuck were these platform creepers, and I think at the end of the day, everything equaled out to be 75 cents a piece. So I got these for less than $1, and they ended up selling for $52. The crazy thing about this was they sold on Poshmark, and I was going back and forth with one buyer, and she had kind of lowballed an offer to me, and since I had so little invested, I was considering it. Usually if I'm on the fence with a offer, sometimes I'll counter, but I have not had very good luck with countering. Honestly, if somebody lowballs me, I'll send a counter, and it'll be obviously closer to my original price. And I feel like 9 times out of 10, they won't even counter back. So that makes me a little nervous. In this situation, I ended up, or something similar, something I'll do instead is I may wait out that 24-hour period and I'll just share it often and see if somebody else picks it up. Well, in this case, I shared it immediately once I saw that offer, and someone purchased it within minutes. So, and she purchased it for full price. So that was so awesome. And now I honestly, if anybody likes an item, I immediately go in and share it. And if I get any counters before I do, any offers before I do anything, I share it immediately. So just a tip, it's worked a few times actually in my favor. So, but anyways, yeah, I sold them for $52 and I only had 75 cents invested. Now, the next two items I had, this was from a sub-wide garage sale that was in my subdivision. Probably one of the most fun garage sale experiences I've ever had. So I was by myself, which I think if I was with someone else, I think I would have had even more fun. But there were so many people out. It was like out of a movie. I don't normally see that many people going around for a garage sale, but I live in a very large neighborhood. They're, very cookie cutter 1950s homes. So this garage sale, this sub-wide garage sale was massive. And there were like people grilling and selling burgers and of course lemonade stands. So it was just an overall good experience. One of the first houses I stopped at though was kind of off the beaten path, and it was just a mom and her daughters, and they were selling a ton of Harley Davidson items. So I ended up picking up, I think I spent $13. I got probably 7 or 8 t-shirts, a couple long sleeve shirts. These were all men's. And then the mom had a couple of her shirts, so I grabbed those. They were in brand new condition. And then she had a bracelet and a necklace. So they were, skulls. They were Harley Davidson branded, brand new, still in its packaging. So I picked up both of those for $8. So it was $5 for the bracelet, $5 for the necklace, and $3 for the bracelet. I sold these sold almost instantly. I think within hours of listing. So I sold the bracelet for $32, and then the same lady turned around and bought the necklace, and she paid $45 for the necklace. So with only having $8 invested, that was a great find. And then I still have a few items left of the t-shirts from her husband. They were all used, but still in excellent condition, and they were from different areas of the country. So they've sold, but I still have a couple left. So $13 into well into $100 now of profit. I'm excited for that. So then the next thing I found, so again, I said I have an 11-year-old, and he honestly could care less. He hates going into the thrift stores with me because he knows it's time consuming. I try and like get him engaged and see if he can find other things, and usually he just gives up. He'd rather be doing something else. So I'll usually just have him tell me about a video game or a book or something so it distracts him. However, in this case, I was watching, I had just watched Thrift to Travel. If you don't follow her on Instagram or don't watch her YouTube videos, I highly recommend them. She is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to expired beauty products, or just beauty products in general. And then she also, just really anything. She purchased things mostly from stores and Goodwill, but it's like seasonings and tea and coffee. It's incredible what she picks up and can flip. So I had just probably binged a bunch of her YouTube videos, and again, I follow her on Instagram. So I found, we looked at the, what was it, the perfume. So that was, in this particular Salvation Army, they had their perfumes at the register. Well, we had spent probably an hour, we looked at clothes, I checked out, and then didn't even think about the perfume. But as I was walking out, a lady had kind of caught my attention, and she was looking at the perfumes. So I stopped and I was like, okay, let's look. And so my son's Jax, and I was like, Jax, like, I heard this is, you know, this can be a profitable area. So there was a lot of people around, and I didn't feel comfortable at that time, like researching comps. So I just kind of read some of them, and we remembered them, and we went and took the already purchased items to my car, and we looked up this perfume, and it was going for a good amount of money. So I think the comp I saw was like $120. I was like, oh my gosh. So I ran back in, and they were selling almost a full bottle of their perfume and a bottle of body wash and body lotion all together. And I was like, oh gosh, I was like, this is probably going to be expensive, because I knew the comps. And I was surprised to know that it was, I think it was $9 for all 3 pieces. And then I received an additional discount. I think I filled out like a Yelp review or something. So I got all 3 pieces for less than $9. I put them on eBay, and they sat, I think, for about a month, but I had them pretty high. I had the 3 set, I think, for like $150, $175, something like that. And then I ended up lowering them after a little while, and eventually I took a best offer. So for all 3 pieces, I sold for $75. Again, not as high as I was expecting, but I think I was just a little too excited. And I was very happy. All 3 pieces only having 90 in, and I sold for 75. I was more than happy with that. So yeah, check out Thrift to Travel. She's amazing. And then just don't, I guess I've been learning in this experience, just don't, you know, just don't stay laser focused on one thing. I've been trying to learn a lot about multiple things without being overwhelmed. And some days I'll go into thrift stores and I won't see any shoes, or at a particular one, I know I won't find shoes. So I look for perfumes or, you know, bathing suits or something along those lines. So it's funny, now in my travels, I have specific area or specific locations for specific items. So speaking of bathing suits, my next find was at a Value World near me, and I don't really like shopping clothes with them because they staple their price tags on top of the brand tags. But I think this was one of the first times I went, so I kind of, you know, frustratedly went through all of them. However, I came across this vintage Jag bathing suit. It was new with tags. It was beautiful. And my phone, I had just come back from Florida and I had smashed my phone. So I was getting my screen repaired that day. So I couldn't look comps when I was there. I went home, had my screen replaced, and then I went back because I kept thinking about this bathing suit, and the comps were decent. So I think I paid $8 for it. It sat for a month or two, but really, like in the Midwest here, we just got hit with our hot weather. It had rained so much this summer, or most of spring into the beginning of summer. So I think that is why a lot of the things I bought for summer weather have been sitting until recently. And so these sold probably, I think at the beginning of July, if I'm not mistaken. So this swimsuit was, I spent $80 and I sold it for $30. It had the high waist. It was so cool. I couldn't leave it once I knew that I could flip it. I just didn't want to leave it. And I wish I would have had a better communication with the seller to like kind of have more of an idea as to, you know, was it used for just a daily swimsuit? There was a goal in mind? Maybe, you know, like maybe they were part of the fashion industry or an influencer. So it'd been cool to kind of know where it went and for what reason. But anyways, the next thing that I sold was another vintage piece. It was at the Subway garage sale. This garage sale, I was kind of distracted. I love dinosaurs, obviously, and this guy sells these like wooden buildable dinosaur figurines on all scales, and so he had one. It was so awesome. If I know I took a picture, so if I still have it, I'll insert it. But I was kind of distracted by that, so I was talking to everybody. Well, luckily there was only like a table or two. They were on like a corner, so they didn't have that much selling. They were just kind of chit-chatting with everybody. And I just happened to glance, and there was a super soaker, so a squirt gun. And among all of the videos I've watched on YouTube, I knew that those were going on eBay. So I grabbed this. It was a vintage Laramie super soaker. I think it was like an XP 310 or something. It worked. I picked it up for $2 and it ended up selling for $35. So yeah, keep an eye out for those super soakers. I don't think a lot of people understand that they're sought after. So yeah, I loved it. It was hard not to keep it. Having an 11-year-old, he's always he plays with water and things all the time, but I knew he wasn't gonna, it was more valuable to sell it than keep it. So the next item was a pair of Skechers shape-ups. Now these were the work ones, so they were all black, and they had the slip-resistant bottoms. And these I think I found these at a local Salvation Army. They were in great condition. The only thing that they had, there was a couple snags or like tears on the ankle, the inside of the ankle. I didn't catch that because being new, I'm still label blind. I get really excited. I'm trying to do much better, and I didn't check that area. Learning opportunity. I follow Renzi, and they preach about making sure the condition of the shoes are in very good, are in very good condition. So I know now, now that I know, I can do better. But these still sold for $50. So I think I spent approximately $8 on them, and I sold them for $50. So still in that condition. Certain shoes can be worth it. And Skechers, if you don't know about Skechers shape-ups, they're retired. So I was excited that I was still able to grab those and send them to a new home. Now the next piece that I had was an Eileen Fisher tunic top. It was I believe it was like cotton, not a linen. And this was, I was in a different part of town. It was the first time I had been to, I believe it was this particular Salvation Army. And I had never found Eileen Fisher before, so bonus that it was new with tags. I think it sat for less than a month, but on eBay, I think it was actually another reseller. And I had it listed, I want to say it was listed for over 100, and I took a best offer of, I believe, 95. When I was looking for all of my my more exciting sales, eBay would only show me the last 60 days, I believe. So if there's a better way to find things that you sold after, I don't have a store, I'm just a generic eBay account. if you know how to do, I could not figure it out, but I believe it was $95 with shipping I got for this new with tag Eileen Fisher shirt. So yeah, keep an eye out for Eileen Fisher. I do have a pair of her flats in my closet right now, and they don't really get the traction that the shirt does, so I don't know if I would pick up the flats again. They're in great condition. The size also might be a factor. It's a smaller size, where the top was, I believe it was an XL, if I'm not mistaken. So then going into the next style, I only have another, or this is second to last. So I went to the bins. I have to travel about an hour to get to my local bins, and my local bins compared to most is so small. I think there's maybe 5 or 6 clothing bins, and then the rest are hard goods, but I don't even think there's that many. And a couple times I've been, there's no shoes, and the last time I went, there was like 2 bins of shoes. So it's a very small location. However, my sister and I went, and my sister grabbed this box, a square box, and we opened it up, and it's a motorcycle helmet, and we know nothing about motorcycles. So we looked real quick, and I don't even know if we checked the actual brand itself, but we saw that helmets were, selling on eBay, and for the bins pricing, we're like, okay, let's go for it. So we grab it, and I throw it on eBay. So I think I averaged everything to be about $1 on that trip. So I spent approximately $1 on that, and I ended up selling it on eBay for $45, and the buyer paid $20 in shipping. It was just a great transaction altogether. The buyer was super cool. He messaged me. We talked a couple about it back and forth. Once he had it, he left me a review and was like, or he sent me an email and was like, hey, thank you so much for getting that out so quick. I was able to use it for, I think he had a tournament. He's like, I really appreciate it. And so it was really cool. And then he left me a great review. So overall, great experience. So yeah, keep a lookout. Even if you don't know anything, eBay's this whole experience has been just nothing but learning for me. I'm not a name brand clothes wearer, like other than my shoes, I'm like an Amazon shopper, and it's been eye-opening to say the least. So my last piece, I think it's fitting to, with what I just said, to end on this note. We were at the bins. It could have been the same trip as the one with the helmet, and my sister, again, she has an eye for certain things. I'll be really bummed when she goes full-fledged on her own and she doesn't help me. So she's more of the risk taker, and I'm more apprehensive on things. But she ended up grabbing this leather vest, and I don't know anything about leather other than I know people seek it. So it was kind of an odd vest, and I say that not negatively, but it didn't look like a biker vest. That was my first thought. So I was like, is this real leather? I don't know. What is this for? So again, with bins prices, we threw to the basket, and I paid roughly $1 for it. I get home and I start searching on, I don't even think it was on eBay. I had to go to Google, and I find out that it's by a company called Northbound Leather. Feel free to take a gander at their website. It is a fetish website, and this particular item was a military, I believe it's primarily used as a cop uniform, but anything along those lines. And so I marketed it as such. So I put in all the keywords, and I paid $1 for it, and I ended up selling it on eBay for $140. So that was probably one of my larger, that's probably been my largest dollar sale. And so I was clearly very nervous. I looked this piece over, and made sure there was nothing I missed. I made sure it was in immaculate condition when it went out. I reviewed my listing to make sure that I had not missed a beat, packaged it up perfectly. I make sure all of my things go out in some type of plastic bag, and hopefully I can change that soon. But right now I want to make sure my products are arriving to the buyers in the condition that I'm sending it to them in. And yeah, it went without a hitch. So all is well, and that was probably one of my favorite finds, sales, all of the above. So if you've made it this far, I appreciate it. I've had so much fun in the last 3 months. I can't wait to see what the rest of this journey has in store. This weekend was actually probably one of my best weekends so far. Not only did I hit my 100th sale on Poshmark alone, I am now on Poshmark with 500 listings, and since Thursday, I have hit $100 a day in sales. So for 4 days, $100 a day. My cost of goods are minimal. I'm going to continue to keep sourcing better. At first, I was quantity over quality because I thought I had to get a particular number to start making sales daily. But I have quickly learned that I would rather have quality items and have a higher average sale price. I believe on Poshmark's just so much easier to review everything, in my opinion, so that's why I'm speaking about their numbers, or those numbers in particular. My average sale price with Poshmark as of, I think it was Saturday, was $17.70. Not horrible, but I'm definitely trying to increase that. I would like to see that doubled within my next 90 days, if not sooner. So yeah, again, I appreciate you watching. Like the video, leave a comment below. I'd like to make a video or two every week, so hit the subscribe button if you're interested in reseller content. I might do some DIY things too, like if you notice above, I've got some succulents and some doll heads. I got a lot of great feedback on Instagram about those, so I may list them. Some people said Etsy, but I'm not really familiar with Etsy in a selling aspect, so maybe Poshmark home market. Let me know, where do you think I should sell them? But yeah, otherwise, again, my name's Amber. You can find me on Instagram, eBay, Poshmark, Mercari. I also have a Depop account, and they're all under @Gortesk. So have a great day, and I will see you next time.